Meteorologist Tuttle here. For years, I've been recommending Ferguson Roof Systems to homeowners across Oklahoma. So when Mother Nature struck my house, it was an easy call to make. There's no one I would trust more than Ferguson Roof Systems for my home's roof. Since 1977, Ferguson has led the industry with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and lifetime warranties. Plus, they'll even deal with the insurance companies so you don't have to. So when Mother Nature strikes, make your first call to Ferguson Roof Systems.
Hey everyone, it's Meteorologist Tuttle back with you again. It's about quarter till 10 o'clock. I just looked at some of the latest data coming up on the winter storm that'll be developing across the southern and central plains as we head into our weekend. And it's going to have obviously a little bit of ice and snow with it. So we're going to talk about that, find out exactly where it's going to be, the timing, who's going to see the trouble, and all that jazz. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and share the video on your respective platform all over the internet. On the socials, from Facebook to Rumble to YouTube to Twitter X. Let's see, who else we got? We got TikTok. We got you guys out there on Instagram Live. So appreciate all of you tuning in and definitely sending me the stars. I see you, Crystal. Thank you very much here on Facebook. You can always support me any way you'd like to do so, just by either following the content, liking it, or joining and becoming a fan, subscriber, etc. All right, let's get on down to business, shall we? First thing I want to talk about is the fact that it was actually a pretty decent day today. I mean, we were 40s and 50s, and it looked not bad. I mean, right now we're 38 degrees, so we've now dripped down into the 30s here in my backyard. We're going to get even colder than that as we head into the upcoming days. Matter of fact, you've been spoiled here lately. You can say goodbye to that nonsense. Out there currently across Oklahoma, it is into the 40s. Statewide, exception will be up here in the Panhandle. We've got 37 degrees out in that part of the area. All right, let's take a look here for the reminder. If you've forgotten how to dress for winter, this is how you do it. We'll be in the cold to extreme cold category. So make sure you get the beanies out, dress in layers. Make sure you get the gloves. If you haven't pulled them out of the closets already, do it. Scarves, all that kind of stuff. Keep the kids warm, and yourself, and your pets. Don't forget the little ones. They like to wear those little outfits to keep them warm. All right, so when is our first chance of a little bit of freezing rain or drizzle? That's going to be up across northern Oklahoma on Saturday. Here across this region here in pink, and give or take, I mean, this might be extended a little bit, just depends on how current temperatures end up on Saturday morning. But do not be surprised if you have some slippery roadways in this part of the state on into Kansas. That will be the beginning stages of what's coming our way. All right, so here is a look at the jet stream pattern. This is the upper levels of the atmosphere, 500 millibars. This is what we kind of look at our upper level storm systems with, this little chart. And where you see all the bright colors right here, that is where you have the lift in the atmosphere. And where you have basically these circles, right, that kind of close in along the lines. That is the center of your upper level low. So this is our storm system, basically, is what I'm trying to tell you. Now, this is a look at the NAM model. And what I want to do is I'm going to flip through different model runs. I'm going to show you the position of this upper level low, which is key to the track of the winter storm and who's going to see the ice and snow. You want, obviously, not a lot of variability. You want the models to be in agreement with one another. So let's take a quick look here. All right, so here's the UK Met. Here's the Canadian. Here's the NAM model. Here's the German model. Here's an American model here. Another Canadian. There's a European. And that's about it. So if you've noticed, not much change. They're all pretty much in agreement on the position and the place and the timing. This is all for 12Z Sunday. Now, just to kind of give you a heads up on this, a little one-on-one for weather. Typically, you have your heaviest snows and your ice that comes out in this little area here, with association with the upper level low, the placement of it, and then on the back side of it. So if you had your little low right here, basically all your action then is going to be kind of in this zone here, and this is going to be on the wrap around the back side. So yes, you can get some of this snow that does come in on the back end of the low as it moves through from west to east across Oklahoma. So that is what we're going to be focused on here for your forecast, also for you guys up there north into Kansas. Okay, so let's take a look at how this breaks out. So first off, we are looking for a little bit of light precipitation on Saturday. This model's not going to show it too well. It's a global model, so it's not going to do light stuff. What I could do is show you that here just briefly on this run, and then I'll go back to that one to show you the big picture. But if you look here, it'll barely show up. Yeah, here's Friday night and a Saturday morning. See these little speckles here, these little green speckles? So that's that light drizzle, light precipitation, light sprinkles that do show up. And where you see where it's turned pink in this region, that's where the indication, the model data, where it's going to be just cold enough to get some of that frozen. Again, that's some flash freezing on bridges, overpasses. So be extra careful in Kansas and northern Oklahoma starting Saturday morning. And really for most of Kansas throughout on Saturday. You're not going to get really much warmer. Maybe far southern counties warm up a little bit during the day, but otherwise northern Kansas, etc., be quite colder. So let me go to the big picture here for the German model, and we'll show you how far south that snow looks like it may dip down. So this is going to be 12Z on Sunday morning. This is, in other words, 6 a.m. when you get up. I don't know who's getting up at 6 a.m. on Sunday. It ain't me. All right, let's go to the next run here. By the way, you will see rainfall starting out here in this region. All right, that's where the green is. The pink and red is the ice, and the purple and the sleet, and then up here is all blue. This is all snow. So that's how you break down the precipitation differences on the map. And I'm going to show you the Kansas version of this here in a second, but I'll show you the southern plains and Texas first. So you can just set all rain here in Texas and Louisiana and most of Arkansas for this event, looks like. Let's see. So here's midday Sunday, and you do see a little taste of the freezing mixed precipitation up here. From Ponca City up to the north and east into Kansas. Otherwise, you see the little snow line moving in pretty much along the I-40 corridor, probably just a little bit south of that runs due east here and west across the state. So basically, that's kind of your cutoff line for measurable snow, it looks like, from that point northward, flurries south of that. Now, that's in the morning hours to lunchtime. And then here is your lunchtime to midday to afternoon. And you can see, again, about I-40 seems to be the cutoff line for any snowfall falling from the sky. Heavier snowfall amounts here across northern Oklahoma, northeast Oklahoma in this area, and of course into Kansas. And I'll show you guys up in Kansas here in a second. That zips on out of here for Sunday night. It does graze northern Arkansas right here. Otherwise, Missouri gets a lot of that action. And then as we go through time, you do see another signal for some more snow, believe it or not, here across southern Texas. Now that's a new one, right? That's coming around the 9th. And this signal's been there off and on for the last few days. Sometimes it's pure ice. Sometimes it's snow, but regardless, the signal is there for some monkey business down across the Lone Star State, which, again, it's odd to get some snow down there, but it can happen. It looks like it may finally happen in this pattern. All right, let me zip up just to the north. I want to show you again, this is where the trouble really is going to be with this storm system, where it's going to be focused. And you can see a lot of snowfall here. This is on Sunday morning again, so we'll back you out. Now, again, this is all going to be ice in this area here. Now, this is all across eastern Kansas, central Kansas, up into 2/3 of Missouri for ice on Sunday morning. Let's go to midday Sunday. Again, a lot of ice out in this area of Missouri and southeastern Kansas right here. Otherwise, snow all in blue back behind it. And then that activity by Sunday evening starts to move east, taking the ice with it, but still there. Otherwise, heavier snow now crossing northern half of Missouri and also the eastern half of Kansas. So, like we mentioned earlier, the easy call with the storm system was the heavier snow in Kansas and Missouri, and also a little bit of the ice. The question was how much of it can dip southward into Oklahoma, depending on the storm track. And it took a couple of days for the models to settle down where they wanted it, and now that they have, well, again, it's mostly to the north. Let's see, let's zip on through here. Let's just look at temperatures here. Now, we are going to get cold tonight. It's not terrible. I mean, we'll be right around 30 degrees here in central Oklahoma, up to the north, 20s in Enid, Ponca City. So yeah, tis the season, right? All right, so let's go into the afternoon for your Friday. So we are going to warm things up for you. It'll be a slow warm-up process, though. But we should get back into the 40s, low to mid-40s across most of the state. Looks like we might squeeze some 50s back here and across the southern counties. Otherwise, a chilly day, colder than today. All right, let's go on into Saturday. All right, so Saturday morning, as we mentioned, we do cool down right around the freezing point here in the blue. So this is where we have a little touch of freezing drizzle and some light freezing rain that may kind of rear its ugly head Saturday morning up along the Kansas border. So if you live in these northern counties here, just be advised, really from Bartlesville to, say, Woodward, east and west through Ponca City, all of you guys in those northern counties, just kind of keep up. You might have to do a little bit of ice in the morning on the roadways. All right, otherwise that's all going to be in Kansas. And on Saturday, we are going to rebound you into the 40s and 50s. So because of the clouds and some of the rainfall around, we're not going to warm up a whole lot, but at least it will get above freezing across the state, and we'll have to worry about that until, look at this, Sunday morning. And this is the cold front. It'll be a double waiver. You'll end up having like two fronts. You'll have kind of a west-southwest wind here, and then you're going to have a northwest wind here. And that's going to drop those temperatures down into the 20s quickly behind the front. So you're going to warm up a little bit here in southeast Oklahoma on Sunday ahead of the front, but during the day, temperatures will be falling. And I'm going to show you what that looks like here as well. By the way, wind chill values, I want to show you that for a couple time frames. So Friday, it won't be much different than the actual air temperature. So remember, we're in the mid 40s roughly, so wind chill value is pretty much close to 40. But on Saturday, let's see how that goes. Actually, Saturday won't be much of a deal because we're still kind of warming up for the afternoon. Maybe appear across the northern counties, so we're going to have a little bit of a bite to the air here in blue. So dress appropriately up in that area. Otherwise, it's chilly for Saturday. All right, let's go into Sunday. So here's Sunday morning, 6 a.m. There's that temperature. The wind chill already feeling like 32 degrees here in Oklahoma City, and it feels like it's in the teens and single digits by the time you head up into the panhandle of both Texas and Oklahoma and western Kansas. So obviously it's going to be quite a bit colder as we go through on Sunday. And remember, all this stuff works its way to the south and east during the day on Sunday, so you will have falling temperatures during the day. Speaking of which, let's take a look at Sunday afternoon. If we just look at the model spread, I want to show you how each model has a different take as to how cold it thinks it's going to be. So this one for Sunday afternoon, it's got 20s into Kansas and 20s to 30s here in Oklahoma for the afternoon. All right, that's most of the states. In other words, we've cooled down most of Oklahoma by Sunday afternoon. The Canadian model has it into the single digits and teens across Kansas and Nebraska even, and has us into the teens and 20s for Oklahoma. So that's obviously quite a cold output. The Icon model, the German, same idea, teens up here into Kansas and teens and 20s down in Oklahoma. Again, this is Sunday afternoon, so again, we're going to fall with temperatures throughout the day, and those wind chill values will be quite nasty. Let's see, the European model, it's got teens up to the north and teens and 20s down south. So just a little taste of what's coming our way for Sunday afternoon. And then let me do that is not what I wanted. I wanted this one, wind chill. So let's see what the wind chill looks like for Sunday afternoon. Now this is probably going to be a little bit more rude. Wind chill values are in the single digits across Oklahoma. Wind chill values below zero across Kansas and Nebraska. That's where you got it dark purple. That's on the NAM model. Let's see, the Icon model, same idea. Woof, minus 11, minus 12, minus 8, minus 5. That's what it's going to feel like out there to your exposed skin. So obviously you don't want to do that. But the point being is it's going to be cold and nasty for Sunday. Okay, total QPF. In other words, if this were to be all liquid rainfall, in other words, not frozen, just plain old rain, in other words, how much moisture is measurable in the atmosphere, in the sky with a storm system through Monday morning. And if you were to look at the different model outputs, I just want to show you the take home of where the concentrated of the moisture is. There's going to be a hard line in the sand here for Oklahoma, right? But most of it, the bulk of it, is going to be in this zone right here. So that's the UK Met. Here's the NAM. Here's the German model. All right, there's the American model. And there's the European model. So see, there's not a whole lot of change, but the consensus that you see, this is over an inch of rainfall, 1.5 inches of rain. Now, for a little trick for fun, at the simplest you can do when you want to convert this into snowfall, you multiply it by a ratio of 10 to 1. So in theory, 10 to 1, so 10 times 1.4 inches of rainfall would be 14 inches of snow. That's a lot of snow. All right, so this kind of gives you an idea of how much moisture we had to work with a storm system. And just imagine here, Oklahoma, when you're talking about this stuff a week away, and this is what you have on the table, imagine this is just shifted south just a little bit. And how many kids would be so much happier. But right now, the kids will be happy with the ones in Kansas. All right, let's take a look at the ice. That's what we don't want. So we can look at some of the model output here as well. And the models have settled down on the location for this one. Kind of in this vicinity is where the bulk of it is. This particular model's got anywhere from a tenth, 2/10 to about about a quarter to 3/10 of an inch of ice accumulation here in eastern and central Kansas. Here in Missouri, a little heavier amounts, maybe even up to half an inch by the time you get into southeastern Missouri. All right, let's go to the Canadian model. That has a much heavier ice accumulations down here across southern Missouri, a half inch or more of ice, even an inch down here far southeast Missouri. In Kansas, also about the same as the other one, anywhere from a tenth to about 3/10. Again, that's plenty for treacherous travel conditions, and it's a little decent enough for some power outages, especially here in Kansas, but a lot more in southern Missouri. There's the, let's go to the American model. It's going crazy amounts of ice, about a half an inch here in central eastern Kansas and up here into Missouri. Now, some of this could be some sleet mixed in, and that would lower the threshold for power outages on ice accumulations on the power lines, etc. But the European also favors heavier amounts of ice accumulations in this area. So that is something you obviously want to pay attention to, because this is what leads to power outages. Even though a lot of times we talk about the snow, this is the underlying theme underneath it. So it's a pretty nasty winter storm that has developed here in a very narrow region. Let's talk about snowfall totals, and let's see where they're going to line up. All right, so let's go with a, what am I going to use here? I tell you what, I'm going to use what happens after you melt it. In other words, we'll take into account some melting that will take shape. Usually it always happens at the beginning of an event. We'll take account of some compacting of the snow. And we'll look at just kind of some of the model outputs. Just kind of see where the most of the focus is. All right, so there's the UK Met, and this is up here around a foot, 16 inches, 13 inches. All right, the Canadian also likes about a foot or more in eastern Kansas and western northwestern Missouri, northern Kansas, and even pieces of Nebraska and Iowa. You notice in Oklahoma, not a whole lot down here. There's a NAM model, favors central Kansas as well. There's the Icon, the Germans. They also favor kind of the same area, but have more of it on the back end with the upper level low wrapping in, a little tighter. The American model also going wide spread, 9, 10, 11, 12 inches plus. All right, and the European, a little lighter than the rest, but otherwise, I think it's got a lot more ice on the output, which is probably why. So 4.5 to 6, 7 inches of snow, which is still, that's a great snowstorm. So not only do you get an ice storm, you get a snowstorm with the European. It's giving you both of it. Here in Oklahoma, Icon model drips that snow all the way down from the turnpike from Tulsa to Oklahoma City, back out west on I-40 like we talked about. So not a whole lot in the measuring bucket down here, some flurries, and that's probably about all you're going to see. Otherwise, the substantial and measurable snow, according to these models, would be up across northern and northwestern Oklahoma, where you might get some pretty significant stuff there. According to the Germans, let's go to the NAM model. It also favors that area here in northern Oklahoma. Let's see, that was a ridiculous amount of 20 inches. We're going to ignore that because I don't think that would pan out. UK Met, though, it's not bad, 4 to 6, 7 inches up here in northwest Oklahoma. And what do we have? The American takes most of it out of here, just kind of skirts the northern counties for measurable stuff. And the European, same idea, skirts the northern counties for measurable stuff, but nothing down here in central Oklahoma. Now, I think we'll probably see some snow down here in central Oklahoma. Will there be a lot? Measurable? Probably not at this point in time. The storm system would have to shift south quite a bit for us to get a little bit more on the measuring side. Okay, so what about our experimental stuff? This is our probabilistic winter storm severity index when it comes to ice accumulations. And I just want to kind of show you how the likelihood of impact is in the 40 to 50% category here on the moderate of a storm in that area here for Kansas, and shifting here into southern and eastern and southeastern Missouri. So that is where your ice accumulation problem is going to be. So this is basically kind of tells you what impacts do you have. All right, so this kind of goes into the moderate impacts to the major impacts, where you have disruptions of daily life, dangerous and possible driving conditions, widespread closures, disruption to infrastructure may occur, that kind of thing. So when you're talking about ice, obviously that can become a problem. So that's how we kind of look at this kind of stuff. You can also break this down to snow amount and snow load, for example. In this particular case, we're going to look at snow amount. You can see the impact on this, the likely impact. We're up in the 90 to 95%. In other words, it doesn't even go to 100% because it's the probability scale, but you might as well just go ahead and say 100%. We've looked at the data. It's for it not to snow here, time would have to stop and the world would have to end. So this is a done deal. Let's see here. What else we got? That was snow load. Snow load's pretty good, for like power lines, etc. For the weight on the loads. I know we talked about the ice earlier, but that can happen as well. So there's pretty high impact of snow load in this region. So probably a lot of power outage is going to happen here for the eastern half of Kansas and a good chunk of Missouri from this storm system. All right, let's see here. So yeah, we talked about the major impacts and moderate impacts here, which basically just kind of means avoid travel in this region from Kansas to Missouri as we head into Sunday and also on Monday. Okay, now are we going to get any more snow, or is that it? Are we done with it? Not at all. Okay, so this is a look at the European ensemble. Now, each one of these is a run of the model, and it goes down 50 iterations, so 50 times. All right. Now, in 50 times, we look at the dates here at the bottom, 7th, 8th, 11th, 13th, etc. Okay. So what we want to focus on is how many in a column do we get a signal for? All right. So this is our first signal. This is Oklahoma City. So this is our first signal for the Sunday event. Okay. And then we have another signal right here for the 8th. We have another signal here right around, looks like the 10th. A little couple numbers in here for the 13th. And we have a few more signals here for, it kind of looks like the 15th. And then again here on the 16th. So the good news is we still have, in other words, this is noise in the data. This is a signal that's transient. It's not strong. It's not consistent. It's certainly not overwhelming, but it's there. So what we do is we watch, and then we see if this one starts to fill in more, or if this one fills in more, or maybe this one, or this one, or this one. And then we start to get excited whether or not we're going to have snow here in Oklahoma City on these dates. But just to kind of show you, this is one way to look at it. And so the pattern that we're in does support the potential for some more snow down the road for January. Okay, so here's a look at temperatures, by the way, in Oklahoma City. This is kind of a model blend, so it'll be a little bit on the conservative side, just so you know. So in other words, there's always a chance these will be quite a bit colder. And this is looking at Oklahoma City, so your miles may vary. But right here, we're looking at obviously temperatures falling on Sunday. That 42 is probably going to be one of those midnight temperatures, and then we fall during the early morning hours and the rest of the day toward into the teens and for Monday morning. And then we are back, looks like, below freezing Monday, Tuesday, and then the models, if you blend them together, tries to get us above freezing just a little bit on Wednesday, and we stair-step it till we're back into the 40s Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Now, let's compare this with just a couple of different little model runs that we have. All right, the European is actually, believe it or not, thinks it's going to be a little bit of a warmer pattern. So the warmer pattern for the European is what's going to push those numbers on a model blend higher, because it's thinking we're going to be into the 40s to near 50s. So I'm going, well, that's not much of a cold spell. What's all the talk about? If this is all we get out of it, this is lame. This isn't even a big winter. This is our standard stuff. Well, let's see what the American model seems to want to do for us. Let's see here. Get that in there. We'll do this one. I think this is the one I was looking for. This one's it. Now, if you notice, this one says, not so fast, Euro. We're going to keep you cold below freezing all of next week for daytime highs, lows in the teens and 20s. And then maybe we'll flirt with above freezing a couple of days here. And then we might touch you on 40, back below freezing, and maybe try to get you back to 40. So this model is a little bit colder for a longer period of time. Now, the pattern supports this one. However, I will tell you this. If we keep getting just a little bit of a glancing blow in the back door of these winter fronts that come in, you can warm them up in between. So in other words, one comes in, cools you down for a couple of days, then you rebound for like a day, but then the next one slams you again. So it's kind of those little back and forth deals. And that's how you can get those temperatures that'll kind of fluctuate a little bit. But by far and large, the pattern itself, as we talked about earlier this week, my blog, etc., it is a cold pattern in general, so it won't take much to get more Arctic air down here. Now, here's the other thing. The initial wave of Arctic air that comes in will not have snowpack to work with. So it will moderate. And usually the models have a tough time with that first intrusion. They get a little excited, a little aggressive, and doesn't quite be as cold as what they thought, only because ground temps are still fairly warm. The air has had a chance to moderate a little bit on the southern fringe of it, so it's not quite as potent as it would be, say, in Canada itself and in the northern plains where it's typical, or the northeast. But after we get the snowstorms and the ice storms that we're going to have for Kansas, Missouri, etc., that means any push of cold air that comes in after that will not get a chance to moderate, will not have friction or ground temps to help warm it up, or mixing of the atmosphere. So in other words, those will have the tendency to be quite a bit colder when they come in, and they'll sneak up on you. So that is why I prefer a colder outlook to the extended, at least in the short term of that, just because of the way the storm system this weekend is going to take shape. We've got more colder coming after that. So that is the entire story for you. That's the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. I'll watch things for you. Let's see, what is today? So Thursday, so Friday and Saturday. And if anything significant changes, of course, I'll let you know. But for right now, it looks like that's the way it's going to settle. That's been the trend. So there'd have to be a big change in the data to make this forecast change in between now and Sunday. But right now, that's the way it looks. But yeah, I mean, if it's going to be a little bit more snow, a little bit less, obviously, I'll let you know, and ice as well. But I want to give you up to date on that one. So like and share all the content that you're watching right now. Make sure you tap the bell, hit the subscribe, whatever platform you're on. If it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, etc. I'll continue to post updates on all those platforms, and make sure you get my weather app. It's called AT's Weather to Go. It's free. It's on Apple, Google Play. Just search for my name, Aaron Tuttle, or AT's Weather, and it'll give you a backyard forecast. It'll give you your radar. You can track winter weather, all that kind of stuff on there. Let me see, what else? Let's see, tomorrow I'll probably release an updated version of my diet guide. So if you want to get in shape for the new year, I do this every year. If you're New Year's resolutioners, like, all right, this is the year. I'm really going to do it. I'm going to trim down, getting better health. So I'm going to help you out with that. I did years of competing in bodybuilding. And then as a scientist, I've always researched this stuff since I was, a geek in the gym from way back in my college days, my 20s. So I've got a ton of stuff in there that I've condensed it for you, Cliff Notes style. It all works. And then I'll even throw in, because this actually is interesting, the GLP-1 stuff. I'll throw some of that stuff in there. So that's what I'm going to edit it with, and add a little bit of that to you, because that stuff does work. I'm going to give you some caveats in there what to do with that. That's about it. So I'll probably look for a post on that on Facebook, etc. Probably tomorrow sometime, once I get it all finished up, and then for the weekend. All right, I think that is it for me. You guys, thanks again for tuning in, for all your support, and we will talk again soon and get ready for Old Man Winter. Do whatever you can do outdoors now. It'll be pretty after Saturday. All right, we'll talk soon. Take care.